All-white gaming PCs have become super popular over the last few years, but finding all-white gaming PC parts without breaking the bank is absolutely difficult. But what we have today for you is a budget PC that is all white and it only costs $600. Now, in order to build this PC for $600, there were some compromises that were made, and we'll talk about those as we go over the parts. Also, at the end of the video, we'll show you all the benchmarks that we ran at 1080p to show you exactly how much FPS you could get with a build like this. So the CPU is a little bit strange here. We went with the Ryzen 7 3800X. Now, you don't hear much about this CPU anymore because we've come so far since this was released. On eBay right now, the 3800X is around $100 on the used market, but I already had this CPU laying around because somebody traded it in and told me I could have it when I redid their PC not too long ago. If you were buying this brand new or you were buying this used parts as well, I would probably look for the Ryzen 5 5600. It's easier to get in that $100 price range, and you're going to have just as good, if not better, performance when it comes to gaming. Now, the Ryzen 7 3800X is a little bit toasty, so we did go with something more than the stock cooler that it comes with. Now, we paid $25 for this ID cooling 224XT. Now, this fan has a light on it, so I changed it out with an all-white fan, but you can find an all-white cooler for $25 on Amazon. I'll have those linked down below. I just had this cooler, again, laying around because I buy and sell PC parts all the time. Now, the motherboard is a little bit more on the expensive side. We went with a full ATX motherboard from Asus. We got it for around $100 on Amazon. But the reason we went with a full ATX motherboard is because of our case. We got a really awesome deal on Newegg for this fractal pop case for only $65. Solid white, 3 included fans. It was an absolute steal. I had to pick it up, so that did make me spend a little bit more on the motherboard because I needed full ATX. If you're not able to find this sort of deal with your motherboard and your case, then what I suggest is getting a micro ATX motherboard and a micro ATX case. These are both typically cheaper, and you should be able to stay around the price point that we stayed here in this build. Now, for the RAM, we kept it simple. We went with the Oli brand. It's one of the cheapest brands out there. I've had zero issues with it whatsoever. We got 16 gigs, 3200 megahertz, and it only cost us around $38. Now, for the power supply. If you want to build this PC as cheap as possible, then around $55 is where you want to be for the power supply. There are several options here in this price point, one of them being the Apevia Prestige. 600 watts is absolutely a steal. Still at $52, it is tried and true. There's also a really good brand called Ceotep. I've used their power supply several times before. It's actually the brand I use in my current test bench area, and you can pick up a 650 watt version for around that $55 mark as well. Again, all of this will be linked down in the descriptions, and they are affiliate links. Now, the cables that you have here that are all white that make the PC just kind of pop and give it that extra bit of flair, those are easily found for about $20 on Amazon. The brands vary. Just find one that's around that $20, $25 mark, and you should be fine. I've had no issues with any of the brands that I've tried so far. Post edit here, forgot the SSD, so I'm adding it in now. I paid $50 for a 1TB SSD like 3 months ago, and I'm just now using it. However, SSD prices are crazy, and it's around $62 to get a 1TB SSD. So that is going to add about $12 to the price of this one, or you can get a 500GB SSD for around $35 or $40. It's up to you. I'll have the best 1TB link down below. Now for the graphics card, there is a little bit of a catch. The graphics card we used was the RX 6600. This graphics card is a great budget graphics card, and on the used market, we picked one up for only $150. I really like how the XFX models are able to be taken apart pretty easily and spray painted, and they look absolutely phenomenal. Now, there's plenty of videos on the internet of how to spray paint a GPU. If you would like me to make one of those, just let me know down in the comments. I'll be glad to help you out, but we don't have time for that in this video, but we can show you how great it looks. So all in all, we spent around $600 for this PC build, but how good is it at 1080p gaming? Well, we're going to hop in some games and we're going to show you. If you like gaming PCs or benchmarks or want to know more about your FPS, how to get it, or what you're going to get when you get your PC, press that like and subscribe button because we do it every week over here at Matt Miller PC. First up, we played Warzone, the Resurgence game mode, because, you know, it's a lot more interesting when I can respawn and try to actually, you know, get an elimination versus just walking around the map in regular Warzone and not finding anybody. And when I do, I just get randomly sniped halfway across the map, and that's just very, very annoying. We use the balanced preset settings here with no FSR, and we got around 130 FPS. We did try to turn FSR 3.0 on at the end, and it didn't give us a huge bump. We maybe got like 10 extra FPS at times, but not a huge difference. But it's super smooth and playable, and for $600, you got something that looks awesome and runs very smooth. Now, because we did a full PC build, we also wanted to test something like an esports title like Valorant on high settings, everything maxed out on Valorant. You're going to love this game. It runs at over 300 FPS most of the time, but definitely staying above that 240 mark. Zero problems with things like Valorant. Even things like CSGO and Overwatch are going to run super smooth on this PC, even though we didn't record those games being played. But we're not done yet, and we've got Fortnite at the end, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Apex Legends is another very popular game, especially the last couple of months. Everybody's talking about how they did so much better with the newest update. I don't know. I just played the gun run game mode, and we went on max settings, and we got like 180 FPS. Now, the harder to run games like Starfield and Cyberpunk, they do pretty good on this PC. Now, you're not going to blow it out of the water by any means unless you use something like FSR, which we did on Cyberpunk 2077. We went with ultra settings, and we didn't really want to turn on FSR, but it wouldn't let us turn it off. It's just one of those glitches sometimes it does when you do the built-in benchmark. Even though I turn it off, it still turns it back on. But we got like 70-ish. I think it was like 73, something like that. It was pretty smooth, and I think you would have a really good time if you wanted to play this game on this PC. Starfield runs better on AMD GPUs, and we went with like a high preset settings. We did turn off FSR, and we still got like 65 to 70 FPS, which I thought was absolutely crazy for the RX 6600. But then again, you know, it's built for AMD. But then we saved the best for last. Good old Fortnite, everyone's favorite battle royale. And it gets a lot of bad rap for playing it on AMD GPUs. I've never really thought that it was terrible, but, you know, we're going to test it, you know, so you can see. We tried it both on DX12 and performance mode because, you know, everybody gripes when I don't do performance mode, so I'm going to throw it in there. But on DX12, we did do kind of like, you know, the competitive settings. We put the view distance on like epic or high, and then we put everything else on low or turned it off. And the 3D resolution, of course, was at 100, you know, no upscaling whatsoever, anything like that. And, you know, we got over 240 FPS. It was super smooth. It was fun, but a lot of drops. We even put the 1% lows and the FPS average up there for you so you could see that, you know, while I'm talking here. And it was absolutely a great experience for the game of Fortnite. But we also ran it on performance mode because, you know, that's what the people want. And again, we got over 240 FPS. At times, it was even averaging like 280 to 290. And the knock with AMD GPUs is that there's random drops and spikes and different things like that. But our FPS lows stayed in a good margin on performance mode. The battle bus dropped them down some because, you know, the way this works with these FPS averages is you start the benchmark and it just kind of keeps up with the numbers and it averages it over time. So if you turn that on when you're on the battle bus, it's going to bring your averages down. So we played 2 games of performance mode. The second one, I didn't start the benchmark until after we'd already landed, and our 1% lows stayed a significant bit higher, around like 100 to 75, somewhere around in there, which is pretty awesome for Fortnite. And we really didn't see any spikes or lags that I noticed. But again, I'm a boomer, so you know, what do I know when it comes to playing competitive Fortnite? But overall, let me know what you think about this $600 PC down in the comments. It's all white. I think it's pretty awesome. But if you don't like the all-white build and you want to spend a little bit more money for a better gaming experience, then, you know, go check out this video.